I'm going to demo Ansible, the Ansible Automation Platform's integration with both the Central Credential Provider and Conjur secrets management solutions from CyberArk. So to start with, this is an integration built by Red Hat, and it has been available for quite a while. It's based around the Ansible credentials and building a retriever, a credential retriever that will retrieve values from a CyberArk vault through either Conjur or the Central Credential Provider and make those available in lieu of hard-coded secrets in an Ansible credential. So basically it trades hard-coded static secrets for dynamically retrieved secrets, and you have your choice of either the Central Credential Provider or Conjur as the solution. So starting with the Central Credential Provider, which is typically a great place to start because it has so many out-of-the-box integrations with third-party solutions. You go to our marketplace and look at application credential security. There's any number of integrations with robotic process automation, vulnerability scanners, all kinds of different solutions that are built around the Central Credential Provider. And the nice thing is about that is the only thing the vendor has to do is provide a way for formatting a REST call. So if we look at the way this retriever is built, all it's doing is getting the URL for the Central Credential Provider, the application ID, which happens to be Ansible. So this is the application ID that's created in the CyberArk vault. So if we go over here and look at applications over here and just search for all of them, then we can see that Ansible is one of our application IDs, and that happens to be the one that's configured here. It also supports certificate authentication. That's not set up here, but if we click this and provided the client certificate, that could be used for stronger authentication. So this is basically how this retriever knows where the Central Credential Provider is. But if we want to look at how it retrieves, how does it know what to retrieve, then we go back to one of our credentials and look at this AWS Access credential here. I see at the bottom here, the secret key is going to be using that CyberArk CCP retriever. So in place of having a hard-coded secret here for the secret key, we're going to query the CI/CD secret safe for the object AWS Access keys and pull that secret key back, pull the key back from that account in that safe. But look at this in a little bit more detail. Then we can see here's adding that credential. It's for CyberArk CCP retriever. And then here is that query, which we can test. We can say, okay, does that ID work? Is the URL correct, etc. When we click this and test it, we see that has passed. So that's really all there is to it, is replacing the hard-coded secret and the hard-coded secret key here with the invocation of that retriever, and then specifying the safe and the object to retrieve from that safe in order to get its password. And similarly, if we look at the Conjur retriever, or the way that it's configured here, we see that we selected the Conjur retriever. We specify the name of the credential, in this case the username. And this is an important point. With the CCP integration, you can only retrieve the password. With the Conjur integration, you can retrieve anything that's been synced to Conjur. So you can turn on all property syncs, and you can basically pull all of the properties of an account, not just the password. So that's one fairly big difference between the Conjur integration and the CCP integration. So here we're retrieving the username from Conjur, which isn't a secret, but we can test to make sure that the identity that we have set up for that is going to be able to retrieve it. If we look at how that credential is configured, then we see it's got a bit more detail in here, but more or less the same. Where's the service endpoint, the URL? How are we going to authenticate to it? There's this API key and this username, or the host name, Conjur host in this case, AP Project 1, and the server certificate. This is not an authentication certificate. This is just making sure that the server is the server we expect it to be. It's a server certificate. So when that is in place, then we can go and create a job template that looks something like this, that is going to use the demo inventory, run against this. And if we look at how that is configured now, what we want to do is go in here and look at my at my var AWX, var lib AWX, I want to look at the playbook that we're going to be using here. Projects, and I happen to know this is 15 test main. Oops, and we want to cat out the secrets echo playbook. So this is the playbook that we're going to be executing. See secrets echo here for project test main. That's where we are here. And really all the playbook is doing is looking up the environment variables that were populated by the credential. And now those values are coming from Conjur and CCP respectively. But the point is the playbook doesn't have to change. And that's a critical point, because if you have a large collection of playbooks, you don't want to have to go and rewrite all those just to use a secrets management system. And you don't need to. That's all taken care of in the credential itself. So when we launch this and watch it execute, then it's going to echo the current values of these environment variables, which we'll be able to see back in the vault. So if we look over here, here is the vault. If we look in Conjur, look at that host for AAP Project 1, see what it has access to. We see that it has access to this group for CI/CD secrets. That's what gives it the ability to retrieve those credentials. So we see here is the access key ID that we pulled, which is basically the username, and then the secret, the password, which is that secret key that we pulled from CCP. So this came from Conjur, this came from the central credential provider, and we did a quick listing of that directory just to do that. So that's basically all there is to it. If we go back and look at this account and see, here is the username, AKIAW5PA, AKIAW5PA. If we wanted to look at the secret in Conjur, we could go down here, look for the AWS keys for the password. Now this has been synced to Conjur, but it's the same value that we're pulling through the central credential provider, YSWF. We see that's the same value here. So regardless of whether you're using Conjur and its integrations, because Conjur's got a lot of support for Kubernetes, for cloud workloads, etc., or you want to use central credential provider for its built-in support with all those third-party integrations available on the marketplace, you've got your option with the Ansible Automation Platform.